Hey everyone, how are you all? Today I am excited to show you a brand new designer's pattern. I just finished it up. This is Shannon's brand new Gaia, and I love it. I hope you do too. I just squished the bottom, so I'm leaving this more suspenseful to show you. How about I start with the strap? And the sides. And here she is. Oh, she's so cute. Here's the front and the back. You've got zipper pockets on the front and the back, as you can see. Here's those pockets there. This is not super structured, but it's got good structure. It sits on its own. It's got a front pocket. She's got a dual or a single use pocket here. I did the single use. Then it's got a recessed zipper for access in the top, and it opens up and it's got a slip pocket inside. Actually two, I believe, since it's separated. Okay. Shannon walks you through wonderful instructions. They're very, very good, and she shows you just like how to top stitch just right, like binding, because that's so scary, but it's not with this pattern. It's great. So I hope you all have just as much fun as I did with these. I have actually made, this is my second one. I love it. Oh, I did not do this part. So it's a crossbody. So, oh, I wish I was a little bit taller. Should have moved my thing some more. But it's a really perfect size bag. Perfect for everyday essentials. All right. If you have any questions, let me know below in the comments. I hope you all have fun. Okay, so I went ahead and began prepping by placing all my center markings. Yesterday I showed you how I edge coated and I deleted the video. So those are all edge coated. I did put zipper or double-sided tape on the back of my zipper overlay before edge coating, because my vinyl is super pliable and it moves a lot. So I figured that would give me a little bit more structure to edge coat cleaner. I can show you a little snippet later on how I edge coat since I messed that up. I did even sew these together and then edge coat these as well and put my markings on those in the video yesterday, and I'm super sorry about that. So we'll go ahead and get started with the zipper. In the next part, you'll need it already cut down to 2 8-inch pieces. Okay, grab your 2 zipper pockets and put your 8-inch zipper at the top of one of them, and we're going to baste it on. I use a 5.5 and an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm gonna go ahead and do like a zipper train here and do the other one as well. We're doing the same thing, basting it to the top at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then we're gonna take that zipper tape end and fold our pocket up and match it to the other side so our fabric is right side together, and then we'll baste that on. I just remembered this is called a chain, not a train. Whoops. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other one. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and get your overlays and prepare them by putting double-sided tape on the top and the bottom. Okay, so now you need your two main panels and your two zipper overlays. Go ahead and take one of your overlays and remove the double-sided tape. Then we're going to match up our cutout square with our traced line. Or sorry, our traced box. Press it down once it's on there properly. Then we're going to stitch all the way outside, around the outside of the overlay. We are not doing anything in here where this zipper box is, all the way on the outside here. We're going to use a 1/16 of an inch seam allowance, which for me will be right at the edge of the inside of my foot here. I'm going to use a 5.5 stitch length. I'm going to use this little hump jumper to create more traction on my zipper foot that I'm using. Yeah, that's everything. Okay, we're getting to the curve, and I am going to hand crank around the curve. Unless I have a relatively big curve, I never use the pedal to stitch around a curve. One 1/16 is a very small seam allowance, so hand cranking all the way around this wouldn't be a bad idea either. And you want to try to end here in the same hole that you began in. You're supposed to pull your thread to the back too. I forgot about that, but I sometimes am able to do it afterwards. There we go. I got my threads out and I will double knot. Then we'll burn the back. Careful with your fleece. Then we're going to rip a hole open within our box here so we can cut that out. So I already have a hole because I forgot we weren't supposed to cut that out early. Oops. So then I like to flip to the back and watch from the back side what I need to cut out. So if you pull your panel off of your double-sided tape, you can like reuse that double-sided tape for this next part. So just be careful not to cut outside of this under layer here. You're only cutting the main panel part out. not that zipper overlay. And you want to cut it back enough that you don't see it when you put your zipper in. Okay, so that's what it should look like on the back now. This is my main my zipper overlay and my main panel. Oops. And here's the front. We'll repeat that with the other panel. Okay, now both your boxes are cut out. We're gonna grab our zippers pockets again. We don't have any zipper pulls attached to them. And we are going to grab one of our our exterior main bodies. And we're gonna center our open box over the top of our zipper. I like to use my thumbnails or the tips of my thumb as a general guide and guess to make sure that they are even on each side. I'm going to use that same double-sided tape I already have applied and press the zipper or the tape onto the zipper tape. So it's nice and smooth on both sides and centered. Oh. Okay, so this is what I have. And I'm gonna grab a ruler and measure the sides to make sure they are accurate. Just to check. You wanna make sure you have enough room to sew your pockets shut. I am actually off, so I'm going to recenter. Luckily, that's pretty easy. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna go back to the sewing machine. Okay, I'm gonna take my zipper pocket and flip it up towards the top. And I'm going to top stitch the bottom of my zipper down here. Okay, we're gonna start 1/8 of an inch away from the edge or the corner. We're gonna stitch with our 1/8 of an inch, actually 1/16 of an inch seam allowance. And we're gonna stop stitching 1/8 of an inch or so after the corner. We're gonna leave long threads and we're gonna pull them to the back and tie them just as we did, as we've done so far. So take your zipper pocket and fold it down towards the bottom, and I like to give that a finger press across there, and then make sure everything's still nice and flat and lined up and centered on your front side. So we should have just the bottom sewn so far. We're gonna start in one corner we left off in, stitch up, pivot, stitch all the way back down, and finish over there. Make sure you leave long tails so you can pull them to the back and tie them off. I found a little trick to get over that zipper is to like hold it with your finger and keep it tight. I am to my center mark on the top here, Now it's time to insert our zipper. You want to insert it on the curved side. Just pull apart your zipper a little bit. Start one side and then insert the other. Okay. Pull your zipper all the way through to the other side and make sure you don't have any bumps or lumps at this end. And then continue stitching. Oh, see, it did it again. Still did it, even though, okay, I'm in the end, or the hole I began in, so I'll pull my threads to the back and tie them off, and then we'll repeat on the other panel. Okay, now that both zippers are on your zipper panels, let's sew the zipper pocket shut by folding our main panel away, starting at the right below our zipper teeth and using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Sew the side shut. I'm going to use a 4 stitch length. I had a little bit of overhang there. We're doing the same thing on the other side. Sewing right to the bottom of the zipper teeth. Okay, now your pocket is shut. Okay, grab your 2 pocket pieces. I'm doing a pocket with a magnet, so a single pocket. So I'm going to sew right across the top edge here at a 1/4 inch. Still using a 4 stitch length. Following my curves. Then we're going to notch our seam. So I'm just cutting triangles right out of my lining, or my, I don't know, my 2 layers of fabric. Okay, go ahead and flip it so they are right sides together. Kind of finger press this down because I used vinyl for my front pocket here. I'm going to turn back up to a 5.5 stitch length, and we're going to top stitch at 1/8 inch. I'm going to use my hump jumper to start. My zipper foot doesn't like to grab on the walking foot mechanism type thing. I don't know. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and my zipper or my magnet placement is different because I'm using a big custom magnet. So I've already marked my placement from earlier. I'm using this mud horn from Alchemats. I went ahead and marked these holes on my exterior. And once I punch the holes out the rest of the way, it'll sit on my pocket like this. But I had to move it down just a little bit in order to achieve that. I want to say it was 1 3/4 is where I put it. Okay, so my holes are punched through both layers, the exterior and the lining, where my screw holes go. I'm gonna take my backing and flip to the lining woven side. I'm gonna match up my holes and make my slit marks for my magnet. Then we're going to cut those slit holes open with our seam ripper, being careful not to rip too much. After, we're going to take our magnet and insert it into the front of our backing of our magnet and insert it to the lining side of the pocket and open the prongs. Oh, and we're using the outie side of the magnet, so on here, not the side that dips in. Then we're going to go to the exterior side and take our mud horn and insert the holes into our hole that we punched. And we're going to push those through the vinyl so it's easier to attach the screws on the next step. We'll flip our lining side down and move the mud horn until we find the holes we made. Then we'll grab one screw and screw it in. Oh, sorry, I can't get a hold of this screw properly. There we go. And screw it in about halfway to either hole. I only like to do half so I can have a little bit of movement if I need to on the other side. Screw that in all the way and then go back and tighten your screw up on the other side. Okay, so there's the back side and the front. Looks like I could have spared to even gone down another 1/4 of an inch for my mud horn here. Go to your main body that you have marked for your zipper, or your magnet, sorry, and pull your zipper pocket up and clip it out of the way. Then we're gonna make the marks for our slits, which I have previously done. And then we will do the holes. Blech. Be careful not to rip too far. Then we're going to grab the innie side, insert it through the holes we just ripped. I've got a scrap of Decaville light here that I'm going to cut some holes into. We'll lay the washer over the back and open that up. You know what? I didn't need to cut the slits. I'm doing it a different way. And then we can fuse that little piece of Decaville light over the end there. So grab your pocket and clip it together with your magnet. Find your center marking on the bottom and match it up with your center marking on the main panel's bottom. And clip that together. And then come to your sides here, and these are going to pop out just a little bit. So you want to push those in so they pop just a bit. And then we can go ahead and clip around and then baste this pocket on. Make sure your zipper pocket is still clipped out of the way before you start basting this. I'm going to use a 5.5. I'm going to go ahead and trim my interfacing overhang that I've got going on here. Here's your pocket. Love it. Okay, go ahead and grab your two gusset pieces and put them right sides together. Make sure they match up just right. And you have 1/4 of an inch seam allowance here. I'm going to use a 4 stitch length. I'm going to trim the corners. And open my seam flat that I left behind. And then we're going to top stitch down both sides of the seam. Turn back to the 5.5 for that. One-eighth of an inch away from one side of the seam, and 1/8 of an inch away from the other side of the seam. Bubba chicken winner. Okay, now we're going to take the gusset and match it up the center of the gusset to the center marking on our main body panel. Oh, and we're going to staple it. That's why I have a stapler right here. We're going to staple at 1/8 of an inch seam. I'm going to actually clip this together here so it doesn't move while I go to staple it. Okay, so I've got 3 staples there, and then I'm going to come up to the top and I'm going to staple it up here. But first, again, I'm going to clip on the other side so it doesn't shift much while I'm stapling. Make sure you stay at like 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to continue stapling down until I can't, because it's starting to curve. Okay, I'm not ready for that side yet then. We'll come over here and do the same thing. It likes to pull off to the side, so that's why I like to clip it at the top. It's just trying to do its own, you know, like natural thing. Okay, so those are lined up there. Whoop, sorry. This is just a regular stapler from like Staples. Nothing heavy duty about this. Oop, that was a little bit further in than I wanted. Okay, so go ahead and grab some scissors and pull your main body panel out of the way and make some cuts in your gusset. About 1/8 of an inch deep and about 1/4 of an inch apart. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. So now you just want to like smash the side and it should curve real naturally around there. If it doesn't, you might need a couple more clips, but you should be able to maneuver it that you can get it lined up on there perfectly and then staple it on. Let's maybe clip it over here first and then staple that edge right there. Remember, you still want to stay at 1/8 of an inch seam. And trust me when I say I put a lot of staples on here sometimes, and because I missed so many times. Okay. All right. And then we can, do the same thing on the other side. A little ahead of myself there. Whoopsie, just missed. There we go. Okay, so with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, we're going to sew all the way around the side. I'm going to use a 4 stitch length, and I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end. Okie doke. Let's remove all our staples. Okay, let's cut little notches in our curve. Like you can't really see them, but there's triangle notches in there, and we'll do it on the other side. Okay, I forgot about one more snip on the main body panel, about 1 inch down. Okay, I'm going to use a 5.5 and open that seam where we cut the slit in. There we go. And on the gusset side, we're going to stitch down, top stitch around the bag. Okay, so push it. Okay, that one section towards the main panel, and the rest we're going to top stitch on the gusset side. Okay, this is probably going to get not visible. Okay, let's see if this is any better in here. Keep just pulling that fabric towards you, or vinyl. Okay, when you get to like your side pocket or your pocket here, don't forget to open your seam back up. Okay, so you can pop that out real quick if you want to check it out. Look at it all the way around. We're going to repeat with the back panel. Okay, so it's time for the trickiest part of this whole back pattern, including the top binding. But we're going to top stitch this now. It's doable even on my flatbed. So we want it pointing towards our gusset still, and the top seam opened. And we want an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so I know you won't be able to see much, but hopefully you can see the way I move it, at least. I'm gonna use that 5 1/2. You should probably check your bobbin. Oh, I can't remember how long ago I changed mine. Alright, so I'm just pulling it apart and doing a few stitches. You should make sure your needle's down before you move it. Alright, the curve on the bottoms are like the hardest parts, but they're doable as well. Just pull your vinyl to the side. I'm going to come under here and check to make sure the seam is pointing the right direction. gets the darkest about the halfway through. I'm going to try to stick my hump jumper in here too. Make sure you open that seam back up on the side. Okay. Take a look inside, make sure you did it. Okay, I've done the folding for my slip pocket. So you just turn your ends in and then you fold it wrong side together. Okay, then we're going to baste across the top. I'm going to trim any overhang. Then you'll grab your 1/4 inch double-sided tape and put that across the top of the front and back of your pocket. Go ahead and remove the double-sided tape that's on the back side of your pocket. Goodness gracious. Okay, lay your slip pocket trim with the markings already drawn on there. Wrong side facing up. Lay your slip pocket right side facing up, right up to the bottom line you drew. Remove the front double-sided tape and fold that over. So it should be like this, and we'll top stitch across that bottom edge. I'm going to use a 5.5 and back stitch neatly. So we'll have this now. Grab your ruler and an erasable pen. I'm gonna use an erasable chalk marker thing from Madame So. Make your mark where she tells you. We'll go ahead and grab 1/8 inch double-sided tape. Mine's from Wizardry. On the back side of our pocket, we'll put a strip all the way on the edge. On both sides. And across the bottom. Grab your lining with the mark on the bottom. And I'm going to peel the double-sided tape off the bottom first. I'm actually going to start peeling up some of my double-sided tape on the sides because I just cannot get this to remove very well on this fabric. This particular fabric base, it always struggles with. So I'm going to go ahead and match up my centers. To the line. Double check to make sure this is straight at the top and even. I'll push my bottom on. I'll pull the rest of my sides up. There we go. And we'll go top stitch this on. Okay, instead of a decorative tag on the top here, I've gone ahead and put my hang tag on and slipped it inside my slip pocket here. So we're just going to top stitch this on. I'm using a 5 stitch length. We're going to go all the way around. Okay, then we're going to go to the line we drew up the center. Start in this 1/8 of an inch seam. Stitch a couple forward and then back neatly. When we're at the top here, we want to go 1 stitch past the top stitching and then back stitch. Trim your threads. This is what it looks like now. Okay, so I've gone ahead and marked and punched my 3 holes. Here, here, and here. We'll add the rivets. And the backs. I did not add the extra Decaville this time on accident. And we'll set all of these. And there you have it. Go ahead and grab your last bit of zipper tape. Fold your top edge over 90 degrees. I just fold it till it matches, makes a straight line over here, and then fold it back on itself. Then you can pin or clip it in place till you baste it together. And then the same thing on the other side. Fold the teeth towards you to 90 degrees and then fold it away from you so it folds back down to itself and makes a pretty little corner. Then we'll baste it together. These are both basted together now. Ooh, I was naughty and separated my zipper all the way. Oopsie. Okay, so you're gonna take it and fold it T-side down, raw edge toward the top. Place it right before your center marking. I forgot the double-sided tape. Hold, please. So it'll go at the end. You'll peel off the backing and fold it to meet your markings you made. Seems like a really big fold. I think my mark was off on that one. This should only be a 1/2 inch fold, and you'll do it on the other one. Okay, so place it just before the marking in the center, and then we'll baste it on. Mine shifted. Okay, after basting that on, we'll fold this in half, right sides together, match up those folded edges. And then I'm gonna stitch it together with this basted side looking up at me. Okay, and then we need to sew right next to that stitch line we just made. And then we're going to trim down some bulk. Okay, after you've picked out like 3 or 4 basting stitches, which is your very top stitch here, you can cut at your zipper side, your zipper teeth side, fold side. I cut straight into the stitching, towards the stitching, and then we're going to cut a like long triangle piece off of there. So it's going to be like that. The zipper's still intact. Then we'll come over and do the same thing on the other side. So your zipper is left, but the vinyl's trimmed out of there. And we're going to come down to the end. You just want to get as much bulk out of the zipper as you can. Okay, lots of bulk out of the zippers. So push your pocket out that you made. It's not really a pocket, but then I'm going to like finger press this down. Okay, I'm going to start top stitching all the way around this. I'm going to use my hump jumper to start because it just does not like layers with my zipper foot. I'm going to tug on my zipper a little bit. Okay, and then we'll repeat that whole process for the other one. Go ahead and grab your lining with your pocket and your zipper that has your teeth right side up and to the left. Match up the center marking. And then we'll baste it on. Grab your top main lining and put it right sides together with the main or the lining. And we'll go sew this together. Okay. I'm going to sew across the top at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. We'll go ahead and repeat for the other side. This time your zipper teeth will be pointing to the right, and you'll baste it on, teeth facing up. All right, grab that other main lining and sandwich it. Main top lining. Okay, let's top stitch the lining underneath the zipper panel here. Always starting with my hump jumper. And I'm just going to do a chain here and do the same thing. So my seam's flipping down to the bottom. I'm pulling it taut, and we'll top stitch with an 1/8 of an inch seam. Okay, so those will be finished. Okay. Okay, go ahead and grab your two gusset linings. I think that's what this top piece is called. I can't remember. And your two gusset pieces. We're gonna have the wider side on the bottom or the top of the gusset here. Right sides together. So the wider end, right sides together. And then we're gonna sew 1/4 of an inch. Back stitch at the beginning and end, and I'll just keep going with the next one. Make sure you have the wider side at the top. We'll flip both those pieces up, and top stitch across on the fabric side. All right. So your gussets should have these attached at the top of both sides. Go ahead and take the bottoms of your gussets and put them right sides together. I'm going to try to match up my seam up here at the top just for more accuracy, and make sure everything's flat at the ends. And we'll sew with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. We're going to trim the corners like we did on the exterior. Excuse my overhang here. And then you can press open your seams with your iron. Okay, on both your lining pieces, take your zipper and fold it back on itself and clip it down so it stays out of the way. I did sew my zippers into the side seam on my first one, so it really does happen. She tells you these things for a reason. All right, let's go ahead and grab either one of these, I don't think it matters, and match it up the center seam of your gusset to your center marking. And clip it in place. I'm going to just go all the way until it's straight here, or until it starts curving rather. And then I'm going to go up to the top and clip those. I'm going to match up my side seam because that's most important to me. And then I'm going to clip at the top so it holds those straight, and I'll clip below it. And with my stapler, I'm going to staple that so it doesn't move at all, because that's the most important for me. Then we'll clip the rest of the way down. Once we get to the curve here, we can snip into our gusset. 1/4 inch clips, 1/4 inch apart, snips rather. I'm not very good with eyeballing measurements, I'm just saying. Yikes. And then we'll push this to the edge so we can get it to curve around the, ease around the curve. There we go. And I will go ahead and I clip in the center, staple on the outside edge. Make sure you stay within the seam allowance. And then staple on this edge as well. I like missed. And now I'll do that curved spot. One more for good measure, and then we'll repeat this on this other side here. Okay, so now we're going to start at a 1/4 inch seam allowance at the top of your gusset. I like to do it gusset side up. Check to make sure you don't have your zipper stuck in here anywhere. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning. You're going to go just to over your sides or your seams here. And then we're going to increase to a 3/8 inch seam allowance. We're going to sew with the 3/8 inch until we get to the other seam side. Okay, I'm right before the seam starts, so I'm going to decrease quickly to a 1/4 inch and sew up the side at a 1/4 inch, ensuring my zipper is out of the way. And backstitch. Go ahead and repeat on the other side. Okay, now that both sides are on, trim down your seam allowance here, only on the line, the bottom half. Leave that top half alone. She has you use pinking shears around the corner curves. I don't own pinking shears, so I'll cut triangle notches after I trim the seam down. You'll do the same thing on the other side. My scissors are so dull. They're like not even cutting through my fabric at the tips. The rest of the scissor is really sharp still. Anyways, you want to get triangle notches cut out of there on all 4 sides, and then trim up everything else. And then I'll be back. Ooh, I just found one more staple, and it reminded me, if you used any staples on your bag, make sure you took all of them out. All right, friends, we're almost done. You need your lining and your exterior. And we're gonna stick them exterior right side out, lining wrong side out. I've got my slip pocket on the back, so it's on the back side. Whoops. This is my front of my bag. That's the back side of my bag, so the slip pocket will be accessible from the front. We're gonna stuff this in here. Should line up really good. Okay, I moved this up so we could see a little bit better. So you want to go to your side seams and open up those seams that we left untrimmed. And on both sides, we're gonna like nest them together. Match up those seams. Make sure everything's nice and flat. We're gonna do that on all 4 sides. One more. Okay, now we can finish clipping this in. I'm going to leave larger gaps so I can staple this together. Oh, y'all, this fits in here so nicely. It's so amazing. So good. Okay, I will staple, staple, staple. Make sure you stay within your seam allowance. Oops, missed that one. Don't staple your zipper panel to your bag. That would royally stink. Okay. Make sure you have no puckering. Okay, let's use 1/4 inch seam allowance and a 5.5 stitch length for basting this together. I'm gonna do it from my lining side. There we go. you all know it's like really cold in Florida right now? You can hear slippers on my floor, I'm sorry. But it was really cold outside. I know some of you all are in much worse weather, and I do feel very sorry for you. Because cold weather is not for me. For those that don't know, I was born and raised in Michigan. Cold weather is still not for me. It's not my favorite. Two again, darling. I have a 5.5 on. Whoops. Oh, that piece moved. There we go. Whoa, I'm so sorry. Make sure when you're doing that you keep your zipper panel folded out of the way. And I'm very sorry that my camera ended up tipping. Okay, go ahead and remove all your staples. Okay, grab your 2 top binding strips. I got carried away here and put them together already. Right sides together. And then we'll sew them with 1/4 of an inch. Quarter of an inch seam. And then we'll do it. Keep on to the next one, next side. Trim the corners. You want to make sure you leave enough so you can open up your seam, but still keep it out of your seam allowance. I don't like that one. There we go. All right, open up those seams, and then we'll go draw the line she has you draw on the wrong side of your vinyl. Okay, so it's getting really close to that tricky time, but it's okay. Shannon shows us how to do it really well. I have a flatbed machine just like she does, so I'm going to follow the exact same steps. I turned my bag wrong side out rather, and I put double-sided tape all the way around on both the inside and the outside of the bag. I used 1/4 inch double-sided tape. I've got my lines drawn as she's told us. I just did a little vertical line here because I used purple and my fabric's green, so I didn't want it to peek out or anything. Alright, so let's go ahead and take the double-sided tape off of the lining side. I started over here. I'm going to take it off all the way around. It's going to tip forward because my magnet's strong. So we're going to use our seam as the center on the side here. You should have a marking still. So you match up that marking and your line you've drawn inside, inside your binding. If I don't have just the right light, I can't see my silver marking pen on this vinyl. There we go. I'm a little bit high, so we need to go lower. There we go. Okay, so we have that centered and lined up to the edge. I'm going to put these 2 long clips on here. So find the center on the opposite side and line up the edge of the bag and the center. And I'll go ahead and clip that on. And then we'll ease it around, matching up our drawn line and the edge of our vinyl. Sorry if this is a really bad angle. Okay. And then we'll affix it on the other side as well. Okay, now that that's on there and all smooth, we can clip. Oh wait, I don't think we clip it on yet. Okay, so we're going to remove the double-sided tape actually on the other side. Okay, and then we're going to fold over the binding. Don't fold it over, don't like pull it down, just I like to rub it on the one side and just fold it over like so. So just let it naturally roll over.
Stop. Get in there and get that room cleaned up.
Okay, and then look in there and make sure it's all nice and smooth and you don't have any folds or pinches, and it looks consecutive all the way through. Once it does, you can clip it on and double check your work. I'm gonna put my clip all the way down and it should hug it on both sides. Should have just a sliver hanging out, it looks like. Looks like I have a spot that's a little short, and I've got it clipped in red here. So I've gone back in and adjusted where I needed to, just pulling that tape up. I'm going around the lining side and double checking everything is the same. And now we'll go to the machine and sew. Okay, now that we're over here, make sure you pull your zipper panel out of the way with your lining facing up at you. You're going to sew from the exterior side. I like to start in the back on the binding seam, just out of habit for starting on the back side. But you can hide it more, I guess, that way. Whoops. That was in the way. Make sure that zipper panel doesn't get caught. And we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch away from the raw edge of your top of your vinyl. To help guide me, I'm actually going to use this 3/8 of an inch mark I have here. with my thickness of vinyl. Make sure that zipper panel's out of the way. Yikes. That was almost really bad. Fold your zipper panel down if you can while you're at the halfway point here. Make sure that zipper panel's out of the way one more time. I'm going to pull my thread at the beginning here to the other side, or so I thought. It's pretty snug, so never mind. I'm going to try to end in the same stitch I began in. I got one more stitch to go. I think that's the same stitch. I'm going to go one more past actually. And then back stitch. She says 2 to 3 stitches. You don't want very much. Here's the scariest part now. Double check to make sure you caught your binding on both sides. Got it. Whoop, whoop. Let's turn our bag right side out. Okay, so I cheated a little bit and did the other side already to make sure I could do it with my Chicago screw I have, which I left over there. But I went ahead and punched the holes in my connector. I'll slide my D-ring onto the connector and fold it over. And then we're going to center it on the gusset. Like so. And then you're going to make a mark with your marking pen or ink pen, because this will be hidden. And we'll punch a hole there through both layers. And you'll grab your rivet or Chicago screw, and you'll grab your connector again. And since I'm using a Chicago screw, I'm going to start inserting my screw. Then take my screw and insert it into the bag. And then fold the connector over. And line that up. And insert my screw. Okay, let's add our zipper. We'll melt the ends real quick. And I like to clip my bag together just a little bit so I can make sure I have it exactly lined up when I get to the ends here. We're going to start with that curved edge still. Insert one side and then insert the other. You want to try to get them as lined up as possible. And then I like to use my table and lay my zipper flat on the table and push it on the rest of the way, and it usually glides on really nice like that. Make sure everything stayed lined up. And that part is done, and we need our zipper end. I use a little Stanley set with this and a big magnet. I actually think it's for to hold your cross stitch needle. I don't remember what those types of magnets are called, but okay. Shannon really explains this very clearly, but just in case, we're gonna fold one edge in towards the zipper teeth and then fold it once more, and you'll repeat on the other side towards the zipper teeth and then fold once more. And then I like to clip that together down further into the zipper so I can look to make sure everything's neat at the end here before I melt the ends together. You have to sacrifice your fingers just a little bit. Then insert, whoops, the right end, your zipper. Grab your screw. Doing this over a magnet's very helpful here, so if you drop it, hopefully the screw goes back to your magnet. And then just screw it in. You can put glue in the end of your zipper or in your screw, your Loctite. I'm a rebel. Shh. Okay, so let's do the strap and then we are done. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm gonna do the single fold strap, I believe is what she calls it. So I only have my 1 2-inch piece of vinyl and then a piece of webbing. I've made my mark down the center, and I'll add my double-sided tape. Okay, we'll go ahead and remove the double-sided tape. And we're gonna fold both ends to meet the center line we made and stick them together. And then we can do the other side. And then you keep going the entire length of your strap. Now that it's all folded in, we'll put another strip of double-sided tape directly over that, those marking, what am I looking for? Jeez Louise. Where those two raw edges meet, directly over the center. Have your double-sided tape, sorry, and take the backing off. Start at one end. Hold please. I'm going to take my webbing and burn the ends. I honestly have no idea if this sprays or not. Then we'll start at one end of our strap and lay it right sides together, centering it and pushing it onto the tape as you go. I did not measure exactly correct when I cut my webbing, so I'm going to trim that off just a little bit. I'll pull it back some so I don't catch the webbing and melt that end again. And then we'll top stitch this. Okay, just like before, we'll use an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I don't know why I said before though. Get my hump jumper. I'm gonna backstitch at the beginning, just a couple, and we'll stitch all the way down, and I'll backstitch at the end as well. Flip over to the other side and do the same thing. All right, I'll trim my threads, and then we have 4 marks to make on both ends of the strap. I'm going to use my marking pen. Okay, one side's marked. I'll mark the other side, and then we can punch. I'm just going to use this hole punch I have from Amazon. Okay, then we'll take one side of one end of our strap. The green is my right side and the webbing is my wrong side. And we're gonna slide it with our bars right side up. I like to have that welded spot on the on the bottom right now. We'll insert this and fold it over the end of that slider bar, and we'll put in 2 rivets. And I usually just wait to install the rivets until the end, so I can do all of them at once. We're going to go to the other end of our strap and slide on one swivel clip. Slip your other end still, your open end, up and back down. Then take that last swivel, slide it on. Make sure you fold it wrong side together. And then you'll put in your other 2 rivets. I'm going to use one more rivet that I don't have right now and a Chicago screw. One more of these mud horns. I'm going to use the mud horn on the top screw, or on the top hole. And screw my screw in. And then I'll get a rivet and I'll set all 4 and I'll be back. Okay, did you put your strap on? Oh yeah, she's done. Y'all did it. Great job. Shannon's patterns are awesome. All right, I'll see you all next time. Bye.